something that happens every year, I think, with the draft is we tend to overthink the fuck out of prospects, out of where people should go, over who's the best quarterback, and it all flip-flops back and forth, and you end up with the person that you thought it was back in fucking October or November. I personally think that, pro days, combine shit, it's just kind of meaningless. I would want the measurables, and that's it. I don't need to see you doing your Zach Wilson rollout with no pressure, nothing going against you. That's just going to get people hype, and it's going to get you overthinking. College game tape, to me, should be all you need scouting these guys. So I would ask you, I would ask both of you, Scott, first, should the draft be closer to the end of the season, like closer to the Super Bowl? Like maybe have the draft first week of March or like a month after the Super Bowl. Kind of the NBA kind of does the same. And that way you can avoid the overthinking and just get the best fucking prospects right there when we know that's who it is.
Yeah, that's something I've always kind of felt. I think moving it up, being like 2 or 3 weeks after the Super Bowl, I think that would be way too soon. But if they found a happy medium between when the Super Bowl ends and when they currently have it now, so like you said, that second, third week in March, if for anything, not only for the overthinking aspect, but to get these kids in the building, starting to learn, get a couple more weeks under their belt, figuring things out, rather than having them wait, another month, because they're all just sitting around right now. I mean, they're not really doing anything except for just staying healthy.
Right. Yeah. And staying healthy and selling themselves and then getting caught up in weird stories that throw you at the last minute. Like these, all of a sudden, CJ Stroud from Ohio State is, these reports of how he's been as a person, bailing on the Manning Academy. And then, other reports are coming out saying, no, he didn't even get invited to the Manning Academy to coach that. Things about his, what's the new test? It's the SIM test instead of the Wonderlic test.
Yeah, he scored like an 18 on it, which is terrible.
And then the creator of the test said that that's false. Like that didn't, like all those reported ones weren't real. And I don't know who to believe. I don't know who the fuck we should on this thing. But it's things like this. Laramie Tunsil at the last second, one of the greatest left tackles currently in the NFL, wearing a bong gas mask, which is highly creative. It would be right now. Mike Daniel would have taken him number one if he could have. And instead he falls. So falls hard, and the Dolphins managed to get him at that time and wound up turning it into a huge trade haul. But all this overthinking, it's fucking crazy. That's why we're doing our draft preview a few days before the draft. So we can't overthink it. We have to knock it out right now. So let me ask you guys, and Scott, I'll get your thoughts first, and Luis, take on whatever you think from it while I go grab my Popeyes, because my Popeyes is ready. And I'm going to go grab that from the door. But Scott, who are top prospects that are intriguing you right now? Like, who has the biggest shot at being a star no matter where they wind up?
Right. It really comes down to me, just three main ones. Will Anderson out of Alabama. I think it's just a no-brainer. He is just reminds me a lot of like a Khalil Mack kind of defender. Really lengthy. He's on the ball for a whole 60 minutes. I think he's probably going to be coming out being one of, if not the best prospect from this draft. Another one is something that I was really high on going into the beginning of the college football season. That was Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas. I think no matter where he lands, his skill set is really what's needed right now in the NFL game. I mean, he can play all three downs. He can catch these really great hands to receive out the backfield. He can be a really powerful runner on the outside. I'm not totally sold on any of the quarterbacks as of yet being really relevant in the next couple of years. I think it's going to be a lot of these more positional players. I was really high on Jalen Carter. I think he's one of those players where he needs to get out of his head. He needs to go to a team where they have a really solid culture and D-line coach that's going to get the best out of him. And then the other two, it's kind of a toss-up. Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech, and then Christian Gonzalez, who I'm actually really bullish on, the cornerback out of Oregon. I think he's going to come in and have a really elite level and future Pro Bowl prospect.
You don't think Bryce Young is plug and play in Carolina? You think he sits behind the red market for a year if he goes number one?
So Bryce Young, I have the highest out of everybody, and I don't know, Reid. I don't know if you want my hot take from the draft right now, but I can drop it if you'd like to hear it. No quarterback drafted in the first round this year will be relevant in 3 years.
Wow,
that's pretty big. Holy shit!
I mean, I keep hearing the Will Anderson thing to the, like you say, people's. Well, just to kind of piggyback on your question earlier, Reid, I kind of like the draft exactly where it is. Number one, because it's around my birth. My birthday's tomorrow, so it's always around my birthday. So there's always like something at the bar that I watch. And also, I think the agents probably would fight against moving it, because I think if it's too close to the end of the season, like after the college football season and the Bulls and et cetera, I think they probably want a little bit more time for their guys to recoup before they go to the meat market. You know what I mean? Just to get healthy and stuff like that and build that. And as many like Larry Turnbull stuff that happens, there's also opposite stuff, like this other quarterback that everybody thinks might go top 3 now. People get to see them, and like it's a linebacker. It's like they're basically saying they're the most athletic quarterback since Cam Newton, right? And like even 20% more than Cam Newton. I'm interested to see if like Bijan ends up in Philly or with the Cowboys. I think those would be like fun places for him to land.
That's a scary one. I don't see if Jerry Jones. I would love to see Bijan fall to the Cowboys and see if Jerry Jones can resist it. Right now, they're talking about a lot of teams having Jahmyr Gibbs ranked over Bijan Robinson, which obviously could be very much. This is huge lying season in the NFL.
It's Alabama bias.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's talk of, I mean, last year we saw the huge trade of A.J. Brown from Tennessee to Philly in the middle of the draft. We could see another thing similar, almost exactly, with Derrick Henry, with lots of talk of him being traded. Quarterbacks, whispers are going all over the place right now, with Ryan Tannehill trade rumors being some of the biggest, and Tennessee potentially trading up to Arizona's number 3 overall pick, which we need to get into those uniforms and how much, even everything's falling apart in Arizona. Even their uniforms have requested a trade. It's fucking
so
mess
bad.
All over that place. But you're seeing potential of Tannehill getting traded. There's been recent talk of Kirk Cousins even potentially being traded ahead of the draft. Trey Lance has been getting a lot of big talks now that it seems like Brock Purdy might be good for the start of next season, which, shit, that really feeds into my mom's theory. Like, that's just only fueling her Stephen A. Smith power right now, that Brock Purdy was faking it because he didn't want it. It was too big time for him at the moment there. But all this quarterback talk, Scott, I want to ask you, what are your final rankings of these draft quarterbacks, and where should they go? And are any of them better than the potential options out there like Tannehill, Cousins, or Trey Lance?
Right. I mean, I think the clear number 1 quarterback in this year's draft is Bryce Young. I think we're all kind of in agreement there. Of course, he keeps drawing the comparison of another tiny quarterback in Drew Brees. I think he has the best overall game out of everyone who's actually going to be a day 1 starter. And then like the next 4 are kind of clumped together. It really depends on what the team values more. It's Stroud, Richardson, Levis, and Hooker. Like, those are the next 4 that are kind of like really kind of crammed in there. It really depends on what team, who's picking and what they want to do. And then after that, it's just a crapshoot, with Jaron Hall and Jake Haener and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's getting a lot of traction right now. I think he's going to be a quarterback that's going to get drafted in a mid-round that could shock a lot of people into a starting job. I'd love to see him go to Baltimore.
Oh, that would be good. Oh, yeah, and how could I fucking forget Lamar Jackson right in the middle of this? Still no contract, even after Jalen Hurts, congrats to him, becomes the richest NFL player in history with his new contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they had to do it, and it's, God, what a story by him to go from, benched in the national championship game for Tua, sticks it out, great leader, transfers, still gets drafted in the second round. Now he's the highest paid player in NFL history until Joe Burrow gets his money. So Joe Shiesty.
Who would you rather? Who'd you rather drop to you at 16? Would you rather one of the quarterbacks dropped, or would you rather like one of the edges? What are the skins?
It honestly depends on the quarterback. I think for me, I don't really want an edge. I don't want
Hendon Hooker.
You know what? Excuse me. I would like Hendon Hooker in like the second. If we could get him in the second round or third round even, I would love to get Hendon Hooker and have him sit as just insurance in case Sam Howell.
He's sitting there at 16. All the other ones are gone. If you don't take him now, no. He's sitting there at 16, and the other ones are all gone. Levis is gone. Richardson is gone. He's the last one.
I don't want that mayo drinking, brown banana eating Will Levis. I don't want him here. I don't trust him. I think he's going to be a potential bust. To answer your question, no, I'd pass on Hendon Hooker at 16. Okay. I would have to take him as like either like a last
second, third round.
Second round, maybe the last. Like if you can trade back or trade up to 31 or 32, just so you can keep that fifth year option on him. I don't think it's that bad of a move, but if
there's no 32 this year.
If Stroud, oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, Miami. Thanks to Tom Brady, who's still kind of weirdly talking about the Dolphins. It's weird. Yeah. I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah,
have a lot of friends over there.
It's that time. It's that time of year. But if CJ Stroud fell to us, yeah, boom, we take him. Number 16, no thinking about it. I would just send it in. Don't even give a few seconds. Bryce Young, same thing. He won't, but Anthony Richardson is somebody that if he is there at 16, I think we would have to consider it. I don't think Ron and Martin Mayhew would pull the trigger on that. I don't think. But
it's too much of a project.
Anthony Richardson or Bijan?
Oh, Bijan.
Not
even hesitating.
Yeah, because I like Brian Robinson. I like Antonio Gibson, but I 100% would take Bijan over both of them.
Bijan, you can trust all three downs. The other ones you kind of have to parcel here and there a little bit.
If you're Baltimore and Anthony Richardson falls to you, or he's somewhere within like a tradable distance that you can trade up for him, do you go and get him?
Baltimore's sitting at what, 22?
Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't have.
I'd love the Jets to take him at 15 and let him sit behind Aaron for 2 years. I don't give a. Right. I would do it, but I'm hoping to take one of the big tackles.
You'd have to give up too much to get him if you were Baltimore trying to trade up. If he's there, it's worth looking at, but I think they have a lot more issues than just quarterback.
He's like a Madden creative player, man.
Minus the accuracy.
That's the only
thing.
Hey, listen, we all threw more touchdown passes than he did in the first 4 weeks of the college football season last year. So,
got the same accuracy level as him. We're good. We can get out there.
Get out.
If we just have one good day, and we'll do this next year. We're going to do the combine. I have a spot. We have some content coming out with the DC Divas that I want to get out there, and I would love to do a pro combine style day with them for us. If we do well enough, we could really Leon Sandcastle this shit and get into the NFL draft.
Oh, no. Start sending in the tape.
But, look, you asked me about Washington at 16, so, Scott, I want to ask you about Tampa. What are you looking for Tampa to do in this draft? Are you confident in the quarterback situation there right now that you wouldn't want them trying to make a move on any of these guys?
Yeah, if Baker wasn't there, then I would definitely want them to make a push to do something. But I think their biggest issues right now are on the offensive line and their D-backs. So I want them to focus on that. Running back's kind of like a secondary thing. It's a little bit of everything. But if I were to not include quarterback, it'd be O-line, D-back, and then potentially running back. Even though we're currently
could see some big trades. One of them coming from Tampa, talk of Devin White potentially being traded. A lot of defender talk. I saw one rumor of Chase Young possibly being traded during the draft. I don't see it happening. I don't want it to happen. I think it's a little too soon to, hit that eject button. But a lot of good O-linemen in this class, a lot of great defensive players in this class. I personally want Washington to take a guard, to either take a left tackle to sit behind Charles Leno or allow us to release him. I personally would love Osiris Torrance out of Florida. He's a guard. He's a massive human being, like a hugely crazy athletic player on the O-line. I think he would kill it for us. I would love for us to get either him, Darnell Wright, one of those guys, if they can, fall to us. Even Peter Skoronsky, if he manages to, we have to take him. But what would you say is the strongest position group in this year's draft? Like, where are you really going to be able to get considerable potential starters, going into the second and third rounds? Because running back, I think there's an argument there with Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devin Akani or Akane, Zach Charbonnet. There's a lot of really good running backs. Wide receivers doesn't seem as strong as last year.
No,
is okay.
I mean, there's a ton of like D linemen, especially slated to go out like in the first 2 rounds. Like that's pretty deep. The secondary, specifically like cornerbacks, I like a lot of those. But yeah, it's, if I had to pick one, probably secondary, probably cornerbacks. There's a ton of them.
Every year there seems to be like an oh shit moment in every draft, and so when I ask you guys what you think that oh shit moment could be, and for me, I think that it's going to come around either number 2 or number 3. It's going to come early in the night, and I really do. I can see the logic in the idea that Houston doesn't take a quarterback at number 2 and either tries to wait for next year or could get somebody. I think a big potential move up to number 2, especially with all this lot of smoke around the Minnesota Vikings right now. And I don't think that they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to be ballsy enough to make that move. But if Houston could get the trade up, they take the number 2 pick, give it to Minnesota, and they get Kirk Cousins, and they can just sit with Kirk Cousins for a year. They don't have a bad team, and Cousins could lead that team, at least, keep them with enough trade and draft capital for next year where they could potentially move up for Caleb Williams. I could see, a Houston trade at number 2 being the big oh shit moment, or them passing on a quarterback altogether, staying at number 2 and taking somebody like Will Anderson, who I think is the best player available right at that moment. Luis, are there any oh shit moments that you can potentially foresee going into this one?
I think like my oh shit moment is usually like the Danny Dimes moment, where it's like the first year GM that is like, I don't care if it's too soon. I'm taking my player because this is my, like they're trying to make a statement. I think that was what the Danny Dimes things would be. I think my oh shit moment here would be somebody moving up to 2, but not for a quarterback, because I think that I'm part of the Tyree Wilson over Will Anderson sort of squad. I kind of like him a little bit more than Will, so I kind of think that I can totally see Houston taking him at number 2, and then. It's going to be like the top 5 is going to be so cool because it's whoever it's what Carolina takes CJ, like we all thought they did, and CJ Stroud is available at number 3. Like, and then if those two things happen, if CJ Stroud goes number 1 because he's like, fuck it, I want the big QB, and Houston takes an edge or somebody moves up for an edge, then the third spot with the rest of the defensive players and CJ, Bryce Young available would be like insane. The rest of it, I think it's then after that, it's who's going to trade back in. That's always fun, and then seeing who falls and if there's anybody else. Man, my wet dream for the Jets was if we could somehow the Christian Gonzalez. If for some reason Christian Gonzalez fell to the Jets, because obviously they need to protect Aaron, so it's 99% going to be a lineman, right? But if they put Sauce and Christian Gonzalez at the 2 corners, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for the Chiefs. I think if they put those two corners side by side, that is my that would be a game changer for me. Even though I know it's not going to happen, but hopefully like Skronsky or whatever his name is falls.
Oh, Skronsky, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's him. That would be my dream. But I think if that happens, if those things happen, if CJ Stroud goes number one, like he would have if the draft was like 3 weeks ago, right? And then the Texans don't go quarterback, then I think there's going to be a shit ton of people trying to move up to 3. Like Arizona could fucking maybe trade for like their color pattern. Like, you're getting the number 3 pick. We're getting your 3 new tricks, and we get the teal and gold, the powder blue from the Chargers or something.
I wish you could trade uniforms. Trade for a uniform
That'd be
combo,
funny.
a random ass one. Scott, who do you have? What do you have? Because possibly being the big shit here.
I'm just so sold on Bryce Young going 1 right now. I think if CJ Stroud isn't the second quarterback off the board, say if somebody makes a super huge reach on Richardson or on Levis and Stroud is still sitting there, I think you're going to start seeing mayhem of teams trying to trade up to grab Stroud before anybody else can.
To 3,
like you said, that 3, that 4 pick.
Him at 4, right? Indy would definitely take Stroud at 4, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah,
so I think that, like you said, that 3rd pick. So if Bryce Young goes 1, and then say if Houston does end up making a stretch for Richardson at 2 or something, they trade a pick at 2 and they don't take CJ Stroud, that third pick is going to be very much on the auction block.